Returning to Gaza, the Greens this afternoon have called for the same sanctions regime that Australia applies to Russia to be applied to Israel. Independent Senator David Pocock has been another crossbencher advocating for more action, and he joins us now. Senator, welcome.
Afternoon, Patricia.
Anthony Albanese has criticised claims that there is no starvation in Gaza as beyond comprehension. He has been using strong language, including basically contesting what Benjamin Netanyahu and his officials are arguing and what they're propagating. Does that please you? Is this tough language what you want to hear?
No, the time for just words is over. We even got President Trump now saying that clearly starvation is happening. It's time to start with more targeted sanctions, starting with Prime Minister Netanyahu, ratcheting them up, having far more transparency on the weapons or parts of weapons that we may or may not be exporting, and then increasing our aid to Gaza and ensuring that Australian medical professionals that are trying to get in there aren't having their food limited and can actually go and provide life-saving care.
So, in terms of the kind of actions that you want to see, the Greens Foreign Affairs spokesperson David Shoebridge has said Australia has sanctioned, I think it's around 1,400 people in Russia over, of course, the war in Ukraine, but said there's only a small number related to the war in Gaza, and we do know those two ministers in the Netanyahu government. What do you make of that comparison?
What's it going to take for this government? You know, just saying harsher and harsher things is not going to have an impact. When you're seeing images of starving children, where you have almost every credible international human rights or aid organisation saying what is happening is a genocide and it's a crime against humanity, and that there are clearly war crimes happening, we should be ratcheting up sanctions. We should be broadening them to the Israeli government, IDF officials. I think, you know, a lot of the unrest we're seeing, you know, people wanting to protest, is looking at what we're seeing, this sort of live-streamed, human-induced famine, and then seeing a Prime Minister and a government that just says, oh, well, we're saying harsher and harsher things. They want our government to act. They know they can't end the war, but they know that Australia has a very proud history of punching above our weight when it comes to international diplomacy, and they want our government to do that.
Well, the government is clearly talking to other nations about Palestinian statehood and whether we might vote that way in the September UN General Assembly meeting. There are reports, I think it's in the New York Times, I'm pretty sure, that the UK is really moving in that direction now. Is it fair enough that we would wait for the UK to move first and work in concert with other nations? So there's kind of strength in numbers.
We've seen France move. Within 24 hours, we've seen airdrops of aid. Airdrops of aid are clearly not the answer, but clearly there's been some sort of response. And you know, I don't understand why we can't just be our own sovereign country and have some moral courage and leadership from a government that I think has a mandate to actually do that. You know, have some heart and actually stand up for what is right.
So you think Benjamin Netanyahu should be sanctioned?
Absolutely. We should be starting there with sanctions on him and his estate, and ratcheting it up and going beyond to a government that seems to just be acting with impunity. You know, Israelis are not Benjamin Netanyahu, so I think you've got to start by sanctioning the people who are actually making these decisions.
Susan Lee was asked about this today. She says she is incredibly distressed by the images that are coming out of Gaza, but she wouldn't say, and I think she was asked 3 times last time I checked, whether she believes that it's evidence, that there is actually evidence of starvation. She said Hamas should be held to account. Now, of course, Hamas does have a role here too. There's no doubt about that. But what did you make of the opposition leader not talking? I mean, we're talking about different leaders across the country. The Prime Minister's been held to account, but she said it's a complex situation and she wouldn't say that it was starvation.
Well, I think 2 things. One, as a politician, you should be listening to experts, to people who are actually on the ground. If you talk to Medicine Sans Frontières, Doctors Without Borders, they are very clear on this. Amnesty International are saying this is a genocide. There is starvation used as a tool of war. So, one, she should just be listening to them. And it's frankly ridiculous, I think, at this point in time to be denying that. And then secondly, we've seen President Donald Trump saying that clearly there's starvation.
We're seeing more and more people, you've been raising this for a while, but more and more politicians raising this issue now. And it's not just in Australia, it's across the world. Are you all working together in trying to coordinate to apply pressure on these issues?
Well, I think people have their different methods of doing that. I represent people here in the ACT. I hear a huge amount from them and have done over the last year and a half about this. I've hosted events, roundtables with experts. We had 1,000 people here in the Great Hall of Parliament House to hear Dr. Mo talk about his experience being on the ground in Gaza. And at the end of the day, like if you have a heart and actually can recognise other people's humanity, you have to stand up and say what is happening is wrong. We have to do better as an international community to stop this. And the thing that we surely should have learnt from the past is that it's too late to say, oh, well, we'll wait till everything's clear and there's some sort of final judgment from the ICJ. That takes years, and as we've seen from other genocides, it's too late. So we are at a real moment in time now where I think we need moral courage and some leadership from the Albanese government.
Senator Pocock, I think the bells are ringing. You have to go and vote in the Senate.
Thanks for the
There's
heads
a
up.
division, so I'll let you go.